What I've always been led to believe is that we have true fans of Descendants of Zombies who watch these videos every night. Every single time that I ever push record, there is a true fan watching, who obviously knows more about Descendants of Zombies than I've ever known, and always had a greater appreciation to take away from the franchises they've loved so much. And they've become recognized through their content they've uploaded themselves, in the short videos they create, in all the AI videos they often upload, because you guys have created so many wonderful videos yourselves about Descendants and Zombies, which have made this franchise stand up for the obvious reasons. How just powerful it was, how emphatic it was, and how we always had a chance to always draw so much special inspiration and experience so many special moments because of all of you. You know, we've been often left wondering why Descendants' promotion campaign has kind of been left in the dark for a while. The reason why it's been left in the dark or felt that way for many people is because we are the ones who have been promoting Descendants and Zombies all along. I am somebody who's always been promoting Descendants and Zombies, and I've been keeping up with the promotion just behind everything that's happened. And this summer, we are going to have the chance to be a part of something so special because for the first time ever, we're going to have the chance to meet some of these characters for the first time ever in all of our lives. That I can guarantee you we are all going to take something special away from. An imagined thought, an experience that we are never ever going to forget because Wicked Wonderland will update Wonderland significantly because it's been modernly updated with the new set and everything. So there's something to always take away from this story that I'm so excited just to be here to experience with all of you. Because along the way, I just never had the chance to sit here and record my thoughts on Descendants of Zombies. I had the chance to share in something that was so much more emotional than probably ever given credit for. That I myself have probably never given enough credit for because this was really an emotional experience to always draw and take something special away from that I know that will always have a special place in my heart. I feel like I've been riding on the back of a white horse through Oregon for a very long time. And ever since I got on that white horse, I've never wanted to come down off that pedestal because in all honesty, guys, you guys have made this the most enjoyable experience that I've ever had the chance to be a part of. I had the chance to emphatically represent a soundtrack and a story that was one of the most beautiful that I ever told. There go the birds again chirping in the background of every video. Every video that you guys have heard me record recently, you guys have heard birds chirping in the background. And they obviously present a really wonderful feeling because the birds chirping, this is an old folklore tale where if you hear the birds chirping, you know there is something to indicate that's going to be special on every horizon that you have a chance of experiencing. And I think on the horizon, there is something special for every fan of Descendants of Zombies to really become enthralled by, to really be left at a loss for words, to really be left speechless, and to feel stronger after we come out of the story of Descendants Wicked Wonderland. Because in all honesty, guys, after we come away from this story, there's going to be something more to be feel encouraged about, like a Descendants 6 or a brand new story on the horizon, which is currently in development. Because Descendants 5 is just one project to look at or think about. Because then we shift our focus to Zombies 5, and then Descendants 6, and then Descendants Hidden Heroes, which is a brand new miniseries, which is currently in development. We have no idea who are going to make up the cast of Descendants Hidden Heroes, but it's going to be something special. And if Descendants Wicker World was any indication from years ago that focused on Mal, EVJ, and Carlos, then Descendants Hidden Heroes is going to be something just as special. I know that Descendants has seen it and heard a lot of criticism in the wake of all the projects that have happened, but it's because nobody really wanted to give this one much of a chance. And I know that Descendants 5 is for sure going to receive its fair share of criticism for what's going to happen and what's going to kind of unfold. But I guarantee you guys that what's about to unfold in front of our very eyes are more storylines, more characters that are kind of going to just randomly show up because for the first time ever, we're going to experience the Kingdom Cup games, which is something I always wanted to be a part of. Now, the Kingdom Cup games is definitely a far cry from what the Hunger Games was years ago because the Hunger Games was something that was very admired by a lot of teens who just really wanted to get into this kind of thing. But I think that Descendants is Zombies has really stood alone in its own category for a very long time for just how emphatic this story was and how vibrant it was because these characters were forever fearless. They didn't care what anybody thought of them until later years when their emotions sometimes would get the better of them. And they really had a lot of pressure on their shoulders. They had a lot to live up to and a lot of expectations that a lot of people didn't really think they were going to fulfill, especially when it came to Kylie Cantrell, who just had a dream of being a part of Descendants in High School Musical, which she had the chance to be a part of. I know her dad had a role to play in that because he was an executive producer for Disney for years, and he was a part of Disney's Halloween House Party a number of years ago. Alex Cantrell was very dedicated to what he believed in, and he wanted his daughter to have the same experience. He wanted his daughter to have the same chance that he had years ago, but probably an even better one and an even bigger one. I know that Kylie Control may have never been really close with a lot of her family members, but she had the chance to grow close to her dad, and her dad made a lot of her dreams come true. That may have involved him standing in a room with a tripoded camera and recording YouTube videos of her reviewing songs from Zendaya like Replay and things like Sam and Cat that she loves so much. And I, found time in really relating to Kylie Control because she was one girl that I could really relate to because she loved shows like Sam and Cat, which I was a huge fan of. The show may have only had about 34 episodes in the first season and been killed off after its first season because of how producers had been made to feel about how people like Ariana Grande and Jeanette McCurdy could never really get eye to eye on a project. But the thing is, guys, Sam and Cat was a really entertaining show. So was Victorious. And I remember years ago when I was a huge fan of Victorious. There was no bigger fan of Victorious than what I ever was. I saw a lot of potential coming from people like Victoria Justice, who I really believed, I really hope a zombie apocalypse is not beginning outside of my home. Whatever it is about me, the birds begin to chirp, and then I hear all these things going crazy, and I've been led to believe there are chances of a zombie apocalypse happening more than ever before. So you guys are going to have to bear with me because is what comes obviously with living near a sedimentation and a chemical plant that I know could explode at any given moment. But somewhere, somehow, I managed to record over 1,400 videos of Descendants of Zombies over time. And that's what's really amazing about recording all these wonderful videos is that you've recorded more videos than anybody ever has on people like Freya Sky and everything she has happening for her that I'm so proud to be a part of, just to be here to witness. I have the chance, for sure there's a zombie apocalypse happening outside my house. And again, guys, I do apologize for the noise in the background, but again, the birds kind of drown that out with how they believe there's something special on the horizon for Descendants of Zombies. So if you keep watching here, you never know what you're going to see or just maybe what you're going to hear. Because if there ever was a guy who believed in something special happening for Descendants of Zombies, it's this guy, like a gala. I would love for a gala to happen for all these costumes for Descendants of Zombies because I know that these costumes may have received their fair share of criticism, but why not a gala? Why don't we give this more of a chance than ever before to give praise to these costumes that obviously deserve praise because these costumes have been significantly updated and there's always something so special to take away from the updates of these costumes. I know that Nova Bright's costume from Zombies 4 and the upcoming Zombies 5 received its fair share of criticism, and this costume has really gone the distance, and it's really come a long way. It's been significantly updated, and you guys will see what I'm talking about firsthand when Zombies 5 comes out next year, and of course Descendants and Heroes alongside of it. But I really think that this costume makes Nova Bright's character really feel stronger and really become the embodiment of what empowerment was truly meant to have represented. And I think these new costumes for Descendants 5, mind you, also are a much stronger version of what Red and Chloe originally were. Because the first story pretty much focused on just friendship and getting through every challenge along the way. Now, not only do they have to get through every challenge that presents itself along the way trying to save Wonderland from obstruction and impenetrable doom, but they also have updated costumes that will help them make sense of everything going on around them and an updated, more modernly looking Wonderland. Because did you ever remember when you really think about what you missed in The Rise of Red and you compare the set to the original Rise of Red to what it is now and what it's become? Did you ever remember the castle in the original Rise of Red franchise looking the way it does now? It's been modernly updated. It has a really cool vibe. And now, for the first time ever, the year of school for both Red and Pink are going to be focused on more than it ever was because they kind of just were attending Merlin Academy for no apparent reason. Now they're going to be attending Merlin Academy for more reasons than ever before. A brand new love interest for Red, a brand new villain that Red and Chloe may have created after having altered the fabric of time. There is so much to face after you return from the past. That's something that a lot of people don't really take into consideration when they review Descendants of Zombies is, okay, we've altered the fabric of time. We spent our 104 days of summer vacation building roller coasters in our backyard. Now we've gone back in time, traveled to the past. We're coming back from the past. But what do we have to face after having altered the fabric of it? Because one can never expect to alter the fabric of time and never expect consequences. That's what Maddox Hatter believed, at least. And for the first time ever, this is going to be something that's truly going to be something to really marvel in, that I think a lot of people are going to be left at a loss for words because of, because they are really going to be blown away. The budget has been down from 58 million that originally was the budget of The Rise of Red to now 55 million. That's where the budget stands. But I think decreasing it from 3 million is going to not really make much of a difference. And we're still going to see so much emphatic adjustments to the story and the plot and the detail, really, because that's what a budget of $55 million allows, is for a more detailed story to be told and a more detailed feel to be presented, which is something I've often appreciated, because you can sometimes have the smallest budgets but still have a really cool story and a really cool movie. Because some movies that I was a fan of years ago, like Dennis the Menace and even the Flintstones and the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, didn't really have the biggest of budgets. I think the budget for the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers stood at probably 15 million. But even with a small budget of just 15 million in 1995, the Power Rangers movie, which was the first one of a series, was one that I never ever forgot. I remember going to the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie in the summer of 1995. I will never forget the date, June 30th, 1995. I was sitting there and I never took my eyes off the screen. I went to the Hannah Montana movie nearly 25 years after, and I never took my eyes off the screen. You can have some of the smallest budgets, but you will never take your eyes off the screen, like the Minion movie. That never really had a huge budget, the Minion versus Monsters movie that came out just a couple of days ago, but it was a really cool movie that's getting rave reviews. And now Toy Story 5 is shattering records. Everywhere it goes, Toy Story 5 is shattering records to the galaxy and beyond, to infinity and beyond, as Buzz Lightyear has always said. I always appreciated the story between Woody and Buzz, because no matter how much they got on each other's last nerve, they were always the best of friends. No matter how much Squidward and SpongeBob never really saw eye to eye, and how Patrick would drive Squidward and SpongeBob so crazy, they were always the best of friends. So I guess having a starfish as a friend really pays dividends. But you can have, getting back to what I was saying, you can have the smallest budgets, but have some of the most detailed scripts ever told and some of the most beautiful stories ever witnessed. We saw that with Regretting You. We saw that with The Notebook. They never really had as big of a budget as what were allowed. I know Twilight had a big budget, but I mean, the story was pretty much dead. It wasn't really a good story, but I think that's why Descendants of Zombies would have fit perfectly into that generation from, say, 2011 to 2015. And I really would love to allow Descendants of Zombies to really have tried its hand up against things like Twilight and The Vampire Diaries, which I know a lot of the cast members were fans of years ago. But even with how high the budget was for Twilight, I mean, the story was pretty much a dead story. It wasn't really that interesting of a story because it was pretty much the same thing from chapter to chapter, even in the books. The books were far more detailed than the movies ever were. So it doesn't really, you don't really have to look at a budget and say, okay, this is what Descendants is going to be, because the budget is not as high as the original budget always was. It's down now from 3 million, down from 58 to 55 million. But I mean, what you need really allow for this is really time, because time tells everything, my friends. And if we allow more time for Descendants to really tell a story, that's what's going to really show what Descendants is really capable of. And I think it's really capable of captivating a whole new generation that will really take something special away from this story, no matter how we want to choose to look at it. Because we can choose to criticize Descendants and Zombies as often and as much as what we want to. But I think if we really give more of a chance to these new characters, a beautiful story is really going to come from it, really stem from something that is really going to be so special, because they had to spend so much money on CGIing a cat whose name is Chessie, who I think is really going to be a cool addition to the story, because he has such a cool, really out there personality. His personality is really far out there. And then, of course, Pink has this really lovable personality, which I think is really going to make room for something new to see happen in Descendants and really give people a lot more to be excited about than probably ever before, because we remember Ruby's personality for being so bubbly, and the personality of Bridget really being over the top and how she just wanted to be friends with everybody. But what she learned to appreciate was she never had to win the hearts of everybody. She just needed probably three or four really good friends. It just turned out to be people like Red, Chloe, and of course Ella, who was always her true friend. She just realized she never really needed a whole lot of friends to help her make sense of everything going on around her. She just probably needed two or three really good friends. And that's something I realized during my time in high school. You know, I tried to be friends with everybody, tried to make the best of every situation. But what I quickly realized was, after some valuable advice was given to me by my mom, you never really needed a whole lot of friends in this life. You just needed probably two or three really good friends. And if you could hold on to those friends, you really had more to be appreciative of than probably ever given credit for, that you probably ever gave yourself credit for. Because the thing is, everything really comes full circle in time. And I've just felt so honored to be here to experience all of this and often reiterate some valuable advice that sometimes are often given to me. Because I think that these stars have been under a lot of pressure for a very long time. And I think that if I ever work with Disney, I would make it more of an enjoyable experience and really enjoy for them to come to work. Because I think that everybody needs to enjoy to come to work. They need to have time to themselves. They need to have times to, practice their cosmetics and go to the gym to stay in shape and things like that and really feel proud of everything they've accomplished. And I think I could really make it a more enjoyable experience for them. I'm just saying, because I've obviously had a better understanding of this industry probably than anybody, far more than anybody ever has, because most of these videos are very low budgeted. And a lot of these videos that are uploaded about Descendants and Zombies pretty much is just what people think is going to happen. That really never really makes a whole lot of sense or a world of difference to anybody. Because what you guys have always wanted is a dedicated voice and a dedicated podcast that would always upload something new and innovative for every person who may have ever believed in something special happening for this story. And I'm here to tell you that I'm that guy that always believed in something special happening for this story. There was always something special on the horizon. No matter how far off it seemed to be, there was always something special on that horizon, and there was always something to give someone more to believe in than probably ever before. Because I really did believe in Red and Chloe's story being so much more than what people ever gave it credit for having been. Because it was pretty much just introducing us to who these characters were. There wasn't really much of a story. Okay, they met, they became friends. Well, whatever happened after they altered the fabric of time, after they stepped back into time, and now are returning to what's referred to as present-day Wonderland. Now that the concept of time travel has been removed from this story, who are they going to meet? Who are they going to change the lives of? How is Wonderland going to be shaped out? How is it going to be mapped out for the foreseeable future and future installments and spin-offs? Those are the questions we have to ask ourselves. Not if there's going to be a Descendants 5, because that's been confirmed. That's been confirmed ever since last year. Not if there's going to be a Zombies 5, because that was confirmed earlier this year by Meg Donnelly and Mila Manheim, who were so proud to reveal the title. Zombies 5, Secrets of the Sea. What are those secrets of the sea? Does it involve mermaids or does it involve something else? Mermaids and something else in between. Those are the questions we have to be asking ourselves. Not if what's going to become of it. If what's going to become of it is going to be something as special as what we believe it's going to be for forever. And I truly do believe it is going to be that. So the questions we've been asking ourselves all along are not necessarily the questions we should be coming up with. We should be coming up with the answers to the questions we've had and come up with more questions to ask ourselves that are more important along the way, because we have so many unanswered questions. Even with the questions that are becoming more clearer, we still have more questions left to be answered. And I'm just so excited to be here to make those answers seem more clearer along with the future. Although I may never seem to know what the future has in store, I'm just so excited to be here to have the chance to experience all of this with you and review some of my favorite classics like Beauty and the Beast, which I'll probably go watch at this very moment, because just a couple of weeks ago in the early afternoon, I was watching Beauty and the Beast from 1991. I was emotionally taken back because that was always one of the most beautiful things about Disney Plus, is that you can kind of go back in time and relive what once was. And just having the chance to be here, to have the chance to experience all of this with all of you has become the greatest honor of my life. And I really just love being here because I think this is the strongest cast who deserves more of a chance than probably ever before, than ever given credit for having been. And I think if we really give them a chance, there's no reason why we can't fall in love with this cast, just as what we did the originals years ago. I really believe it's going to be something that we're really going to have a chance to hold on to, probably believe in more than ever before. And coming up on tonight's final podcast of today, as part of my lineup, I will shed some more light on what the future has in store for all of us, because I really do believe it's going to be something so special. Where is my Descendants and Zombies cereal, my Descendants and Zombies ice cream? Where is my Descendants and Zombies gala? I have so many questions to answer, and I think they will remain unanswered for quite some time, but I think we have more to look ahead to than probably ever before. We not just have Descendants 5, but we also have Camp Rock 3 in the same summer, and I'm just so excited to be here to have the chance to experience and really live through all these unforgettable moments with really all of you. Having said that, on this beautiful afternoon, thank you so much for always having chosen this YouTube channel and having made it your favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel. And hey guys, thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of both your worlds and your stories, because it's been such a profound honor just to be here, to have the chance to really have experienced all of this for truly what it was worth, which was truly something special from my heart to yours. Thank you so much for always having chosen this YouTube channel and having made it your favorite from the world over as your favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel. And thank you so much for allowing me the honor of being a part of this soundtrack, because ever since becoming a part of this soundtrack, I've loved it so much. Thank you so much from my heart to yours for always having the time to have watched these videos.